You're listening to the Mindful Mama Podcast, episode 128. Today we're talking about, does punishment work? Welcome to the Mindful Mama Podcast. Here it's about becoming a less irritable, more joyful parent. At Mindful Mama, we know that you cannot give what you do not have, and when you have calm within, then you can give it to your children. I'm your host, Hunter Clarke-FIELDS Mindful Mama Mentor. I coach overstressed moms on how to cultivate calm in their daily lives, to create more peace and cooperation in their families. I've been practicing mindfulness for over 20 years. I'm the creator of the Mindful Parenting course, and I'm the mom of two girls who challenge me every day to hone my craft. Thank you so much for being here, my friend. I'm so glad to be connecting with you. And I just want to make a quick shout out to Zemelda. Thank you so much for the great 5-star iTunes review. Makes a great big difference, and I really appreciate it. So in just a moment, I'm going to be talking about punishment and whether it works or not. Last week, we talked to Catherine Reynolds-Lewis about some of the research about this. I'm going to bring some of the research into this episode. And so if you're on the fence and you're not sure about these newfangled things, this is going to be a great episode for you. We're going to talk about, what does punishment teach? What do children learn from punishment? And what some of the research says about different parenting styles and how they affect kids. So join me as I talk to you, me and you, about what does punishment really teach. And before we dive in, I want to give you a quick message about our upcoming free training in mindful parenting. So excited. So here it is. Are you frustrated with parenting? Do you want to practice conscious, compassionate parenting, but you don't know how? It's not easy, and there's no roadmap for this. Until now. I'm Hunter Clarke-FIELDS, creator of the Mindful Parenting course, and I know how frustrating it is because I've been there. I struggled as a young mom, and when I found myself yelling and triggered by my child, I knew there had to be a better way, and there is. Mindful parenting is different from other parenting trainings. They don't tell you that all of that good advice is as good as useless when our internal stress response is triggered. Mindful parenting teaches you research-based tools and practices to reduce your stress response so that you can respond rather than react. And it teaches you exactly what to say so that you can create willing cooperation from your child. You can learn more and enroll at mindfulparentingcourse.com, and you can join us for a free live training coming up soon where you'll learn why your kids don't listen to you, how your brain undermines your parenting, and how to create cooperative kids without losing your temper. Sign up now at mindfulparentingcourse.com/free training. That's mindfulparentingcourse.com/free training. I'll see you there. Does punishment work? If you had told me 8 years ago that I would not be using punishment with my children, I would have thought you were crazy. How would I have control over my children? I honestly thought that people who did not use punishment were a little crazy. I remember getting to know a new family that was in my neighborhood who didn't use timeouts, and I thought it was totally nuts. I was not going to be the kind of parent who let her children run rampant. Absolutely. And the funny thing is, now I don't use punishment, and I haven't for years, and my children don't run rampant. Although my oldest is running through the woods right now, actually, while I speak with her friend. So what's the deal, right? And there were two problems with my earlier ideas about punishment. Number one, I didn't have a clear idea of what punishment teaches children. And number two, I didn't have a clear alternative model. So what do children learn from punishment? And one of the biggest problems with punishment is that it doesn't actually teach your child what you're wanting to teach them, because we talk a lot on this podcast about our own fight, flight, or freeze response, right? How we're reactive when our brain gets kicked into this fight, flight, or freeze response where we see our child as a threat and then we can't access our better modes of learning. Well, The same thing has happened with punishment, that actually kicks your child into their fight, flight, or freeze response, and they can't learn. They can't learn anything from what you're teaching them in that moment. The punishment doesn't actually teach your child what you're wanting to learn, because they actually can't learn anything about regulating their emotions when they're afraid and angry and resistant, right? So the idea, though, is that if you punish the child for the misbehavior, they're going to see the error of their ways and want to do right. Right? Wrong. In fact, there have been many studies about punishment over the years, and they come to the same conclusions. Punishment does not bring about good behavior. Now, wait a second, you might be saying to me, right? Like, my child does what I say when I threaten punishment, so punishment works. And the problem is, while fear wins in the short run, in the long run, punishment actually makes your child less likely to do as you ask, because they've learned to resent you and resist your requests. So let's get this out there. When I'm talking to you about punishment, I'm talking to you about yelling and threatening and things like that. I'm not even going to go there with physical punishment, because physical punishment, spanking, is hugely damaging. And it's been associated with verbal and physical aggression, delinquent, antisocial, and criminal behavior, poor quality of parent-child relationships, and later abuse of one's own spouse and children. So physical punishment has nothing good to say for it. But psychologists are even beginning to find evidence linking harsh verbal abuse to conduct problems and depression in the same way those problems are linked to physical abuse. So check out this University of Pittsburgh study that I found in the Good News About Bad Behavior. The University of Pittsburgh psychology professor Ming-T Wang led a study of harsh verbal discipline, defined as yelling, cursing, or insulting children after misbehavior in nearly 1,000 families with teenage children. He reported that nearly half the parents used harsh verbal discipline, but that it wasn't effective in stopping misconduct. So it actually didn't work. Actually, the children who had been disciplined harshly were more likely to act out or show symptoms of depression when questioned the following year. The same effects were seen with parents who generally had a warm relationship with their children, showing that parental warmth didn't lessen the negative impact of yelling at or insulting children, right? Whoa. So the bottom line is that when adults scream or at or insult children, the impact is really similar to hitting. The harsh verbal discipline, all these things, they put the child into that fight or flight state in which they can't access the higher order parts of their brain to reason or learn from the experience. And since the parent is the source of stress, they also can't serve as that important calming role. So this child's in a persistent state of arousal. Wow, right? Okay, so we don't want that. That's obviously not effective. I mean, so we're using our power, and it causes this resistance, right? The more we use that. So maybe we use timeouts. What do you think about timeouts, you might say, right? Unfortunately, this also backfires. It also makes your child less likely to cooperate in the future. So when you use timeout, a punishment, it focuses the child on the consequences that they're suffering rather than on the consequences of their behavior to someone else. So this actually makes your child more self-centered and less empathetic. Why am I here? Mommy's so mean for putting me here. I'm so angry. So they're focused on, look at how I'm suffering, rather than, oh, when I said that thing when I hit my sister, it really hurt her. Punishment makes your child feel like they're a bad person. And this becomes kind of an identity and a self-fulfilling prophecy. So they're actually more likely to repeat the bad behavior. Punishment doesn't teach your child good behavior, actually. So if our best parenting isn't modeling, our punishment is showing that when we use, punishment and yelling, what it shows that when we yell or when we can, if we are stronger and we have more power, then we can force our will. And It also teaches your child to avoid more punishment in the future, right? Like that's the whole idea, that we're going to have them avoid these behaviors. So if they're avoiding more punishment in the future, actually ends up happening is they're going to sneak and lie to escape detection. So the punishment is actually fostering dishonesty. They're going to lie to you about it rather than talk to you about what's going on. So punishment, and yes, even timeouts, they erode your relationship with your child, making them less likely to want to help you. And the less connected you are to your child, the worse the behavior comes. Oh my gosh. So what do, right? Letting your child run the show is not an option, right? We can't do that. That has bad results. In fact, we can share some of those. Instead, we want to help them help them get through these situations by learning better ways to show up in the world. We need to help them take care of the feelings that are driving the behavior. Okay. But it's really interesting. And the good news about bad behavior, she talks about the results of different parenting styles. So authoritarian parenting is parenting when the parent controls everything and they're using punishment and threat to make the child do what they want. On the opposite end of the spectrum, in permissive parenting, the child's kind of running the show and the parent is letting them do what they want. And what we teach in mindful parenting is that middle path of what they call in the research is these different middle paths they call authoritative parenting, which I don't like that word because it's confusing, right? It sounds so much like authoritarian. But check this out. In a 2012 paper, these researchers found that the children of authoritative parents fared better than their peers on every behavior assessed. So that middle path of being able to create boundaries using empathy and compassion, the children did best on that in every behavior assessed. So this is interesting. Catherine writes, I gathered that the children of authoritarian parents behave better. This is from research on teens. Children of authoritarian parents behave better, but may have worse mental health. And there's a huge rise in anxiety and depression and even suicide in ages 9 to 18. So children of authoritarian parents have worse mental health, whereas kids of permissive or indulgent parents experience fewer internal symptoms, but they have more behavioral problems. They're more likely to act out with neglected academics, drugs, sex, etc. So the results aren't great on either side. So when your child makes a mistake, does something wrong, what do you really want them to learn? This is really the question that we want to ask, right? So often we're really simply reactive. We're reacting out of anger rather than really thinking about what we want to teach our child. Teach your child through your actions and your responses, how to take care of their difficult feelings. When you are angry and frustrated, this is a perfect opportunity to model how to take care of challenging feelings in a healthy way. So even if you're angry at your child, this is a great opportunity to model how to take care of those feelings. I invite you to look at yourself and ask, am I acting out of anger, or am I teaching my child a better way to be in the world? Ask yourself, what do I need in this moment? What does my child need? And I know that takes a lot. I know I'm asking a lot from you. That's why in mindful parenting, that's the first thing we teach is how to take that pause, how to get that space away from your thoughts, how to have enough grounding and reduce that stress in yourself, have enough self-compassion in yourself so you can actually ask yourself these questions, asking yourself, what do I need in this moment? Asking yourself, what does my child need? So research has shown that parents do not or explain and discuss situations with their child as much as they should. Help your child understand the full picture, including your needs and how their behavior affects you. The full alternative to punishment is more than I can fully share here. I teach it fully in the Mindful Parenting course. So I offer this to you as food for thought. But I want you to not take my word for it, but look at your own situation and see how punishment affects your child. And then decide for yourself, does punishment work? Is it working? Or is it making it what I've seen is that it snowballs when we into more difficult situation. Like we have to up the threats, we have to up the yelling to make the situation happen. And what happens as we go through with my people in mindful parenting courses, that it actually snowballs and gets easier and easier. And it's a little harder in the beginning, but it gets easier and easier. So I'm interested to hear what your takeaway is from this. What have you learned from this? What are your children learning from the way you're parenting them? These are hard questions. And if you're, using those threats and yelling and punishment, I really don't want you to be hard on yourself and feel bad and be angry about yourself, because that doesn't help either. That doesn't help the situation. We have to look at these situations as learning opportunities, right? Look at our places where we're not as skillful, as times to learn and times to grow, times to say, okay, maybe I wasn't so skillful here, but how can I do better? As a listener here at the Mindful Mama podcast, you are part of a new generation of mother. And this is from the Mindful Mama Manifesto, which you may or may not have heard, but I'm going to share this with you for the moment. So a mindful mama is a new generation of mother, present, evolving, calm, authentic, and free. Mindful mamas reject the culture of not good enough, knowing that when we free ourselves from stress and limiting stories, our authentic, peaceful nature shines through. Mindful mamas practice self-compassion and see their challenges as teachers, not flaws. A mindful mama values wisdom over reactivity, empathy over obedience, and begins anew every day. Mindful mamas live what we want our kids to learn, knowing that the best parenting is in modeling. Mindful mamas go within and get quiet to access their power. Mindful mamas practice presence, create their experience, embrace imperfection, love themselves. Mindful mamas are motivated, knowing that with every step, they are changing things for the generations that follow. I am a mindful mama. You are too. We don't have to be perfect to be a mindful mama. We reject perfection. So as you think about this podcast, this conversation that we've had today about punishment, about where this is for you and in your family, I invite you to reflect on if you are rejecting that culture of not good enough. That's not what this podcast is teaching you, right? What I'm inviting you to consider is that you are absolutely good enough. You have the tools you need to create the change. And we're going to offer even more tools to help you create that change in the Mindful Parenting course and the Mindful Parenting free training. So I invite you to check that out. So thank you so much for listening. If you have questions, you're welcome to contact me on social media. I'm at Twitter at Mindful Mama Mentor. Not Twitter, Instagram, sorry. I am at Twitter too, though. And I invite you to join us in the Mindful Parenting free training. It's at mindfulparentingcourse.com/free training. That's mindfulparentingcourse.com/free training. Invite your friends. This can be hugely transformative. And I wish you a beautiful week. I can't wait to see what this conversation sparks in you. I'm wishing you peace. I'm wishing you some moments of joy, some moments of pure relaxation and fun this week. And I can't wait to see you in that free training on the other side. Have a great week, my friend. Thanks so much for listening. Namaste. Are you frustrated with parenting? Do you want to practice conscious, compassionate parenting, but you don't know how? It's not easy, and there's no roadmap for this. Until now. I'm Hunter Clarke-Fields, creator of the Mindful Parenting course, and I know how frustrating it is because I've been there. I struggled as a young mom, and when I found myself yelling and triggered by my child, I knew there had to be a better way, and there is. Mindful parenting is different from other parenting trainings. They don't tell you that all of that good advice is as good as useless when our internal stress response is triggered. Mindful parenting teaches you research-based tools and practices to reduce your stress response so that you can respond rather than react. And it teaches you exactly what to say so that you can create willing cooperation from your child. You can learn more and enroll at mindfulparentingcourse.com. And you can join us for a free live training coming up soon where you'll learn why your kids don't listen to you, how your brain undermines your parenting, and how to create cooperative kids without losing your temper. Sign up now at mindfulparentingcourse.com/free training. That's mindfulparentingcourse.com/free training. I'll see you there.